I think it's kind of fair to say modern gaming has hit somewhat of a bump in the road, so to speak, with, to put it nicely, the same Call of Duty game done over to the point where the current Call of Duty is actually last year's Call of Duty with a few extra guns and nostalgic maps. And that is so far the best thing we can come out with. Or a game made by one developer, and the only reason it's doing well is because it's made with passion. So now we have games that are just unenjoyable, unsatisfying. And then we go back to the golden days. And this is what we're playing decades later.
Kill all sons of bitches. That's my official instructions.
This used to be a nice neighborhood!
Okay, you get the point. With how dry and repetitive the blueprint for gaming is these days, I find myself going back and playing Left 4 Dead more than any of the new games of the last 4 or 5 years. The last game I can remember that held my attention without much fail or struggle was Modern Warfare 2019. Before COVID. To say another way, ever since the pandemic, there has been a drought of attention-grabbing games for the general population. Sure, the newest CODs are okay, but it really says something when Lethal Company, a game made by one developer, is outselling the new COD, a AAA, fully published, fully supported game. Like, that's a problem in my eyes. Like I said, I find myself going back and playing these games I played when I was 3 years old, 4 years old, you know? And I find them more enjoyable than anything I'm playing these days. Aside from the new Mortal Kombat, that thing, it's a slapper, I'll be honest. But with that being said, any of the games you can really think of from the COVID era, if you will, so 2020 to basically now, they all flopped. Aside from Among Us, again, another very small developer team making a game that blew up. But, I mean, Battlefield 2042, Back 4 Blood, which was supposed to be the savior of Left 4 Dead-like games, and I'm sure many more, you know, they all failed. And while that could be, you know, you can blame it on the pandemic, and I'm sure it played a part in it. My problem is this was happening before the pandemic. The pandemic just brought it out. And it hasn't gotten any better. It's getting worse with time. And it really sucks. I don't want to be playing a game I've been playing since I was a toddler. Like, that isn't necessarily what I want to do. I want to be able to say, oh, the new COD's amazing. The new Battlefield's amazing, or this or that. But, like, you can't really say that. Sure, if you want to not generalize, I'm sure, like, the God of War games are amazing, and, you know, these certain games are amazing, whatever. But just generally, gaming right now is really depressing if you're looking for, like, brand new games. It's very, very hard to find a new game that holds your attention and keeps giving. Like, you don't have to try to have fun. Like, that's really sad. The only thing that I don't have to try to have fun with anymore is Lethal Company. And that you need, you know, for a good experience, 4 or more friends with mods, right? So it's either you play a multiplayer game, again, made by one person, with all your friends, and then it's a great time, you're having fun. But, like, the games we used to rely on that were popular when we were kids and teenagers and stuff, those are just, like, unbearable to play. There's always bugs that don't make any sense. There's always some sort of new issue with every update. That being said, they get updated every other week, fixing something you didn't even know could be fixed because somehow they messed it up. And I'm not necessarily blaming developers here, like the people making the games. I'm sure they're very passionate and they want to do the best they can. I am fully blaming publishers like Activision and all these, you know, the people that own it, because they just give them deadlines that make no sense, and then you get rushed games that don't work, and then, oh, here's your game. It's basically a beta right now, but by the time it's at the end of its life cycle, when we have another one coming out, it'll be a pretty fair to play. That's pretty annoying to me. And then, almost like it was sent from God, we were told, hey, Call of Duty is getting a 2-year break. You're gonna get this new COD, and then you're gonna get a break while we just update it, fix it, and then, you know, after that break, we'll give you a new game that's had more time to actually be finished. And we were like, yes, let's go, Call of Duty. And then they just didn't do that. Then we got Modern Warfare 3, which was Modern Warfare 2, but like I said, a couple extra guns, a few extra maps, and most of them we were playing when, again, we were kids. So it's just laziness. It's the same things just done over and over again, but they're branding it and pricing it like it's the next big thing. And it just makes gaming so sour to me. I don't enjoy it. Now, I use Call of Duty as a reference a lot, and even like Battlefield also has these issues, but there are other game developers and publishers and games in general that have this same issue. These are just the biggest ones I can think of. I'm not scripting this, as I'm sure it's obvious. I'm just kind of letting it happen, and those are obviously the two head honchos that come to my mind when it comes to just lazy, unimpressive games. So I want to focus on why is Left 4 Dead still so enjoyable compared to newer games. And I think it comes down to mostly simplicity. Like, Left 4 Dead, you have 2 guns, you get 1 throwable thing, 2 kinds of healing. That's it. Shoot the bad guys, kind of thing. And first of all, the UI. The UI is tolerable. I know where everything is. And while it is a popular game that is not by any means dying, Fortnite is 100% guilty of randomly changing their UI to the most abhorrent dog shit thing I think I've ever seen for no reason, and then saying, oh, okay, so you guys hated that, we'll fix it, and they still haven't fixed it. So there's plenty of games that, while they're still good games, are guilty of just changing things that don't need to be changed and tainting the experience that way. Meanwhile, Left 4 Dead and these older games, it was like adding things and just constantly adding good things while fixing the mistakes and balancing and all that. And other game developers are worried about UIs, which I don't think many people complain about. But as well as, while Left 4 Dead at its core is extremely simple, they were still able to make it fresh both times. Both games felt lively, especially Left 4 Dead 2. There was just insane, amazing, fun ideas. For example, the ending to Dark Carnival. You kill a bunch of zombies and run to a helicopter while performing a concert. And, you know, in the game it's the Midnight Riders. I modded mine to be Avenged Sevenfold because I'm a nerd and I love Sinister Gates. Anyway, Left 4 Dead had passion and just creativity flowing through it. You know what I mean? It wasn't so much as a cash grab. It was meant to be enjoyed by the fans. And so were a lot of the other games of its time. Like, I mean, mostly Valve games immediately come to my mind, but there were other amazing games. Assassin's Creed, the COD games in 2009. All these classic games were just pumped out because the developers loved it and so did the fans. And it wasn't so much about stealing their money, it was more about creating something they loved. And that is what sets it apart from today's standard, where unfortunately, in my eyes, it has become more of how much money can we get? New bundles, new bundles, new bundles. We put Skeletor in Call of Duty for some reason. It's just to grab money. And it's as much as I can understand, like, you gotta make money as a business, selling us the same game twice for the same price, that's pretty good at stealing money, in my opinion. We don't need 100,000 bundles while we have a UI that can barely function. That's my own opinion. But Left 4 Dead was able to just deliver what you wanted without overcomplicating it. It was just straight to the point, and it was enjoyable. You could sit back and just play Left 4 Dead. You can't sit back and play Call of Duty, or, you know, it's taken over by people who have nothing else to do than grind all day. And that's not the developer's fault, but that's just how Call of Duty is. But I miss games where you could sit down and just enjoy them. The last game I could sit down and enjoy in the last couple years was Red Dead Redemption 2. Love that game with my heart. Always will. And, you know, Left 4 Dead, as a series, was able to give you 2 games 9 months apart, and they still stand on their own. The characters have witty dialogue that keeps the player entertained, and it also has a community that has kept it alive as well. Left 4 Dead 2 being one of the better games to find community creations, like mods. For example, you can make the tank look and sound like Shrek. That's pretty awesome. And a lot of games nowadays miss that connection between developer and player, and it's very important to in my opinion, to have communication and just like a trust between the creators and the players. In a lot of ways, I think gaming has come really far. You know, we're getting more realistic looking games, more innovation in some ways, but I do think we are taking more steps backward than we are forward. But maybe one day gaming will get back to how it was, and we'll have games we'll remember for years on end. But I want to end that with Left 4 Dead 2 is a prime example of just a simple, entertaining game, and it's held up over a decade later, which is both amazing and kind of sad. I don't know, something to think about. This has just been on my mind a lot recently. I know this is different from my usual video, but I just want to articulate the fact that while I do love gaming, I think it's in a drought, like I said earlier. And one day it'll be restored to its former glory, but for now, I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you all so much for watching.